Well, what's funny is that I kind of was born on the richer side. My dad was a pimp. He owned skating rinks. He owned bars, but he was also a very abusive man. So he had a lot of money. A lot of it was, I don't know if it was legal money, but he had a lot of money. He had Rolls Royces, Jaguars, all that stuff. So I grew up with an alcoholic father. So whenever he would get upset, he would put it out on my mom and myself. So we got beat a lot, daily. So growing up, I would get beat for anything. So I didn't know the difference between right and wrong. I was kind of a very confused kid. Mm-hmm. And I also grew up with a learning disability. I don't know if I so much had a learning disability versus a big time like fear.
Yeah.
And so I had social anxiety. I was all messed up. I had the capacity to learn, but as a young kid, when you're getting beat like that for no reason, I believe that your mind doesn't work properly. I'm not, I don't know. That's just what I think. So I did that from the time I was born, the time I was 8 years old, just getting beat for no reason. So my mom finally got the courage to leave my father around 1983. We went to a small town in Brazil, Indiana. In Brazil, Indiana, that's where I really faced hardcore racism. And what's funny about it, how old are you?
36.
You're 36, I'm 44. And the funny thing about it is, there were a lot of good people in that small town of Brazil, Indiana. Mm-hmm. But the funny thing about it, every one of them will tell you today that none of them called me a nigger. There was about 5 to 10 black families out of 8,000 people, all white, which is fine, it's cool, no big deal. The Klan marched in our 4th of July parade in 1995, but I was never called nigger.
Yeah.
So it's just funny how, as time goes on and these kids grow up, how much they want to forget what really happened and tell you what, that it didn't exist. So from time I was 8 until I graduated high school, pretty much, not everyone called me nigger, but I heard it more often, than not. On my first car, I got a brand new, well, not brand new, it was a Citation. Mm-hmm. And they spray painted, "Nigger, we're gonna kill you" on that car. So imagine, you come out of school, you're a sophomore in high school, you come out and you see your car located in the back of the parking lot and you see some white stuff on it. You can't read it because you're too far away. As you get closer, you see, "Nigger, we're gonna kill you." In my Spanish notebook, "Nigger, we're gonna kill you." And the best advice I ever got was from my principal, who's obviously white. He said, I couldn't spell. So I had a 4th grade reading level in high school.
Yeah.
So basically here I'm in high school and they spelled nigger Niger. I didn't know. I just thought I spelled nigger. They missed a G. So he said, "These kids are ignorant." It's the best advice I got. My mom was working 3 jobs. She was trying to go to school, working 3 jobs. So she was never home. So I missed a lot of school. So when you're the dumbest kid in school, at least you think this, when you're one of the only handful of black kids in school, you start to hide. So I hid at home, I hid away from people, I hid everywhere. But I had 2 personalities. I had one personality that was this big thuggish type of guy who walked around, pants sagging, hat kicked back. I was a thug.
Yeah.
But the real me was a big punk, because I was afraid of my own shadow, because my dad took my soul as a young kid. And then when I moved from Buffalo to Brazil, the children took my soul, and I had no one to cry to, which kind of helped me out. My mom was gone, life was hard, and I kind of raised myself. So I had to figure out a way out. And my way out was the military. So I actually tried to go in the military. I thought, to get in the military, you had to do push-ups and sit-ups.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had to read and write.
Or help.
Right. So I take this this examination, and I failed it huge. I got one of the lowest scores possible on it. Took it again 30 days later, failed again. And then this is when I had to really buckle down. So I learned pretty much all of high school in 6 months. Got a tutor. We can only afford $15 a month. A week. So I saw her 4 hours a week or 4 hours a month, and learned all of high school in that period. And from there, the story gets better, but that's kind of how it started off. Well, what happened was, so when I graduated high school, I finally graduated. I finally passed the military entrance exam, the ASVAB. I wanted to be an Air Force pararescueman, and I won't get deep into that, but I failed miserably at that. So I went from 175 pounds out of high school to 297 pounds within a 4-year period. So basically, I'm about 22 years old now, about 22 years old. I'm 297 pounds. I'm out of the Air Force, and my job is I'm spraying for cockroaches at a company called Ecolab. So I'm making $1,000 a month. And my job is from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning to go around and spray for cockroaches. So every night for 6 months, I'm doing this job. So I finally get home one night, and well, trust me, it wasn't like overnight this happened. You're haunted by the mere fact that you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Every fucking day. And people don't think that, you're fucking lying to yourself. You are fucking lying. So every day of my life, I'm haunted by my father, the kids that bullied me, my own insecurities, all these things with this roosting in the back of my head. So I'll be driving home at like 7 o'clock in the morning from an all-night shift, and all alone in my truck, and I'll be thinking, what the fuck, man? My life is hell. So one day I came home, and I always come home and watch TV, and this show was on with like Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of the water, terrified of the fucking water. I sink like a rock. So I'm sitting there watching these guys going through Navy SEAL training, and I'm like, and I saw what I believed how a man should feel, very, have pride and dignity in himself.
Yeah.
It's like I gotta change myself. So literally, I sat down on the couch and watched these guys going through SEAL training, and I went through my own mental checklist of how fucked up I am and how many things I would have to change just to get an opportunity to try out for something like that. Have to get smarter, have to get fit, have to lose weight, have to do all these things, start running, swimming, everything. So I finally get to a point where I get the courage to go to a recruiter and say, hey, I want to go try to do this. But when you're 297 pounds and you're gonna go try to be one of the fittest people in the world, you get laughed at. So I got laughed at a lot, but in this process was actually hardening my mind. All the laughter, because the laughter used to make me cower. Now I realize that I can no longer hide from my insecurities, hide from all these fears. I had to start wearing them.
Yeah.
I had to start talking about them. I had to start being vulnerable because I was always afraid of them. So here I am now. I'm facing them. I finally find a recruiter that says, hey, we'll take you in. And he says, you have less than 3 months to lose 106 pounds. I'm like, that's fucking impossible. So that was my mindset. I was like, hey, I can't have that kind of mindset. So I went to the dungeon and started using all my insecurities as strength. Instead of looking at being bullied and my dad messing me up and all this stuff like that, I looked at it as, who could have survived all this and still be here with the opportunity to go into Navy SEAL training? And so I started using all these negative things and started flipping everything on top of his head. Instead of saying, woe is me, kicking rocks, head down in the dirt, I started saying, there's not a motherfucker on the planet who would have this opportunity coming from where I came from. They would be a statistic.
Yeah.
So I started looking at it as power versus like big time defeat. And slowly but surely, every day, I started changing the voice in my head, because the most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself.
Yeah.
So I slowly started changing that internal dialogue in my head. And there wasn't no fucking like teacher. There was no shrink. There was no mom saying, hey, David, you can do it. No, it was fucking me. And that was where the power came from. The power came from, no one's helping me. No one's coming back to fucking save me. No one's coming back to pull me to the finish line. This is on you. So I saw a lot of power in the fact that if I change this around, I did this. I changed this around.
Yeah.
I don't know what week it is, but for me, it was my 3rd week. And sometimes it's your 3rd, 4th, or 5th week in Navy SEAL training. Navy SEAL training is 6 months long. And this is like the biggest crucible in Navy. So it probably in all of special forces, special ops. It's 130 hours of continuous training. And you might get 2 hours of sleep. And the whole idea is you start on Sunday and you end on Friday. You might get 2 hours of sleep. And the whole idea of this training is to get a man and break him down to nothing. And that's where you see what a man's made of. So to make it through one, most people say, I'm never going back through again. So I was fortunate, God blessed me. So I started looking at these failures as blessings. Because with all these failures and all these bullies and all these being abused and my learning disabilities and stuttering and everything I had in my life, they are really gifts.
Yeah.
They're fucking gifts. And it's not some psychological babble bullshit that I'm using to say, oh no, my life wasn't that bad. No, my life fucking sucked. But they truly were gifts because all these different trials and tribulations led my mind to where it's at now. So Hell Week, once again, 130 hours. You get 2 hours of sleep maybe, and they beat the shit out of you. Beating like push-ups, sit-ups. And it's near the Pacific Ocean. So you're out in the Pacific Ocean, back in, and that water's fucking freezing. And so you see these men, these great men that I watched on TV, I'm now with them. And for the longest time, I put people who had better childhoods, better grades, better this, better that, I put them all above me. But now I'm on the same playing field as them. So when you get on the same playing field as these men who you think are better than you, you look at them eye to eye, and you realize that they're not. So once again, I'm starting to do all this live autopsy shit, like saying, God, man, you were mind fucking yourself your whole life, thinking that this person came from a nicer house, better education, better mom, better dad, and they're better than you. It's not the case. You have this in you. You may have to dig a little deeper to find it. Their family may have started them off a lot better than you, but it's there.
Yeah. It's
there. So I started really realizing how powerful the mind was. I got in the military in November 2015. I retired. I hadn't even started social media, had I? Hadn't started social media at all. I think I've been on social media for 2.5 years. 2.5 years I've been on social media, 1.8, almost 1.9 million followers. And basically, it didn't happen overnight. But what really grew my business was the fact that I'm not trying, this is going to sound really fucked up to all you business people out there. I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to help people.
Yeah.
And at the core of my soul, when I retired from the military with about $50,000 a year is what I probably make. For me, for a guy that grew up with nothing, I lived in a $7 a month place growing up for a long period of time. And then we moved to a $236 a month place. So basically, you give me $50,000, I'm rich.
Yeah.
So my mindset was about helping people. And when people truly believe in your message and believe in who you are, and they see that you're being honest and truly honest for the fact that, hey, I just want to see you fucking be better. I don't want nothing. Maybe a thank you when you're older and you're walking around with your fucking kids and your family. If you have a real, authentic, true message about people, and people see that you're not trying to sell out and not trying to sell them things, because I knew how I felt growing up, and I don't want anybody to feel that way. So when I give back, it's not about giving back to like say, oh, well, hopefully down the line, I can sell them something.
Yeah. My
message is truly authentic to how I came up, and people feel that. Therefore, the business is about them.
Yeah.
And I have all these lessons learned through a life that God blessed me with, as far as like, look, I didn't survive this life. I thrived in hell.
Yeah.
And through that, I was like a guy sitting back. I was like just writing all this shit down. I became a poet in hell, just sitting there as hell was all around me. I was all calm, just taking it all in. Oh, I gotta tell people this. I gotta tell people that. Oh, I learned this. I learned that. While most people run from it, I was learning from it. And now I'm just giving all this knowledge to people for free.
Yeah.
So in return, people are growing. People like the message. And when you have a good message, you grow a business. I know that there's not just me and you. There's millions and millions, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
With all this fucking pressure, man. You can now bully a motherfucker on your phone. Back in our day it was face to face. You can do everything over your phone. The pressures of trying to keep up with everything is at an all-time high. And our mindsets are at an all-time low. We are the weakest we've been mentally ever since the beginning of time. And it's even harder. So it's harder with a weaker mind. So all I want to do, my whole drive is about, I have a really good way of visualizing people suffering. Because a lot of people do it. We have two sides of us. We have one side that is that happy-go-lucky side, that nothing's wrong and everything is good. But we have that side at home when no one's around, that's depressed and miserable and we're not good enough. Yeah. And whatever happened to you is real. So that's my drive. I want to make sure that I give people as much power as I can. So when they get up every fucking morning, they know that, hey, I have the ability to not only survive in this world, but thrive in this world just by the mere fact of hearing about my story. Yeah. So if I can help out people that way and make you a better human being, that's all it's about, period. Because I don't want anybody suffering the way I suffer. Well, a lot of people, what they do is they have these finish lines. And I have a saying that says, I don't stop when I'm tired, I stop when I'm done. So when I was younger, I didn't have any goals. And it's not really so much about goals, it's just a fucking to-do list. Yeah. A to-do list. And as a human being, if you don't have a to-do list, you're gonna sit back and just fade away. It's like a lot of people who are in the military, who are in business, who are whatever, they say, hey, I'm gonna do 20 years and I'm gonna retire. Okay, what's next? So I have a what's next list. So then I never sit idle. I never sit idle. There's never one time in my life where I'm sitting back with free time and like just enjoying the sun. I made it. Yeah. I've arrived. No, I've never arrived. And a lot of people say, are you happy? Because I'm so driven that it almost makes people who are weaker in the mind think, my God, you must not be happy. That's a weaker person's way of saying, you've overachieved, David Goggins, and you're making me feel like shit. Yeah. So if I'm making you feel like shit, sorry about that. No, if I'm making you feel like shit, I'm doing my job. Yeah. If you ask me if I'm happy, I'm doing my job. Because when I was a weak person, these are some of the things I would ask a very driven person, because I didn't understand what the fuck they were doing. Because they were so driven that my mind was so weak that I was like, they must not be happy. Yeah. I would find a way to put a title like they're crazy, or they're not fulfilled, or they're empty, because I didn't have what they had. Yeah. So basically, if I get these questions, I know I'm exactly where I need to be. Even though the good Lord rests, He didn't tell me to. Yeah. He didn't tell me to rest. Yeah. I'm a big faith believer, even though I cuss. A fucking lot. I'm a big faith believer, but God didn't tell me to rest.
Yeah. Do you have a special morning routine, or are you big on routines? The work ethic. Let's like a little bit about work ethic. I wanted to go over that. Like, you seem like the hardest working guy out there. Like I can relate to you about with that.
Well, I'm the hardest working guy that doesn't talk about it. Yeah. You know. Yeah. So basically, I don't take any days off as far as working out. What I realized growing up is you have to build your armor. Yeah. Your armor. Your first thing in the morning time is you have to build your confidence. And every day you're constantly gaining and losing confidence. You're never staying the same. So how you build your confidence is, if you like what you see in that mirror, that's how you start your day off. If you wake up and you look fat, you look out of shape, you're not, you don't feel good, which is, or you don't feel good inside. So my whole big thing is get up and work out. Shed some calories. Get the adrenals going. Get the mind going. Get all that going. Every day I run. Every day I work out. And every day I stretch. So I spend anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a day working out. I'm constantly thinking about my life,
Yeah.
raw things about my life, because I want to share these things with people. I'm constantly, and see, I don't post a lot. I don't post, see, like most people post just to post. So my daily routine is like, I don't get up and start just posting stuff 3 and 4 times a day.
Yeah.
I post when something is meaningful because I want people to get something out of it. I don't want to just be on social media and say, hey, I'm posting, let me get more followers, tag someone, hashtag this bullshit, hashtag that bullshit. No, this is a message about you. So every day I'm running, every day I'm working, I'm thinking about, do I have anything that I can share with people today that's powerful? And I'm constantly writing books. So I have 1 book out right now. I have my 2nd book coming out, but I'm not gonna have it coming out anytime soon because I want it to be perfect.
Yeah.
So my whole thing about life is putting all your energy in one thing. So my routines are always about synergy, focus, hyper focused. It's always about mind, because I know once your mind gets away from you, you've lost. All my ideas come from when the blood pressure and the intensity is high.
Yeah.
Because that puts me back in the dungeon.
Yeah.
I remember when I was 300 pounds, my most inspirational time is when I was 300 pounds and I was trying to lose weight, and I was having all these self-talks, trying to find strength all over my brain. How the fuck am I gonna do this? How the fuck?
Yeah.
So you start to have these different mantras, like almost every 3 or 4 seconds, a different mantra comes up. And just there's a lot of power in that, from being that underdog mentality.
Yeah.
And whenever I go out to work out, it's not like I'm David Goggins now, 44, I've achieved a lot. Every time I go out to work out, I'm that 300-pound guy.
Got it.
Spraying for fucking cockroaches. If I go out there every day trying to beat myself, that's gonna fatigue me.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I know that there's not many people doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's enough. There is a secret, and I hate to even divulge it, but I'll give you a little piece of it. It's a little piece of it. I developed a psychotic weight routine.
Mm-hmm.
So most people who want to lose weight, they go onto this serious cardiovascular, just dropping calories.
Yeah.
So yeah, that helps you lose weight. But what happens is, man, you have this loose skin all over your body.
Yeah.
So I invented this routine. It was called like anywhere from the 100 to 500 routine. So I pick a light weight and I go in there and I smoke out that, like, so let's say it's bench press. Let's say I can do the bar 100 times without stopping. You want to pick something that you can do over 100 times without stopping. And if you do stop, you stop in the rest. So your rest position is the up position. You don't rest it, like rack it. You don't rack it. You rest up, and by you resting up, your muscles are still working, and you can only rest for 10 seconds until you get 100 reps.
Yeah.
And what that does, what it did for me, I kind of invented this on my own. It literally was burning so much muscle. Like my muscle was just getting fatigued, the lactic acid, and it kind of kept that muscle nice and tight.
Yeah.
And that's what helped me out a lot.